Tonight's topic is a very, very important topic, perhaps one of the most important topics in this series, the series of the Midot. The topic of tonight can actually be a series in itself. The name of the topic is self-control and discipline, but we will also talk a little bit about the Midot of Seder and Nikiyut, organization skills and cleanliness. We'll also speak a little bit about the willpower. All of these are related. And I thought it was very apropos to speak about Seder and Nikiyut right before Pesach, because Seder is the Seder that we have on the table when we come together as a family. Seder means organization, and Nikiyut means to clean. And hopefully that is what we do right before Pesach. We clean our homes. But the bigger topic, the one that we're going to focus on the most, is discipline and self-control. If we have a good understanding of this topic, it will help us actually in understanding and in dealing with the other midot, with the many, many midot characteristics that we are trying to control, that we're trying to refine. So I very, very much believe that this topic deserves a lot of attention. And because it deserves a lot of attention, I'm going to make a request that you listen carefully. The reason why you want to listen carefully is because not only will I tie everything together as I usually do on recognizing the topic, seeing it in real life, and then some advice on how to go about applying it, but as you will also see, it's important to pay attention to the various details, because every detail is important. Every detail is in a particular order that I put it. And if we follow that order carefully, you will see how the knowledge of each one of those steps is very critical. I actually should perhaps speak about this topic over the course of many weeks or months, because self-control and discipline is a big topic that requires really a lot of lessons, a lot of examples, and there is quite a bit actually of information out there from Jewish and non-Jewish sources on ideas and strategy and how to achieve true discipline and self-control. But as you will see, I try to make everything concise, but I did it in such a way that if you follow that carefully, you will understand the beauty of it and how we can go about implementing it in our lives. I want to begin with a mashal, a parable that the Hafetz Chaim used to use in explaining the following scenario, a scenario which he could not really understand how it could happen, that people come to pray and ask forgiveness on Yom Kippur. Supposedly they are serious. Supposedly they mean every word they say, and perhaps they even made a commitment or two to change their ways. And right after Ne'ilah, right after the day is over, right after the fast is over, they go back to the old ways. What has happened? What went wrong? We're talking about serious individuals, those who really take Yom Kippur seriously. They know the importance of the day. How come they just went back to square one? How come they didn't even try? And he gives the following mashal. There was once a businessman who was about to set out on a long journey. And in those days, they used to travel by horse and buggy. He tells the coachman, listen, I'm very tired. I'm going to fall asleep. Please just make sure that the horse stays on the right road. It doesn't stray off the road. It's dark. They didn't have lights back then. Things were very primitive. And, people can get easily lost. Unless, of course, the coachman was in control at all times to make sure that the horse stays on the right track. So the businessman made this request. Just make sure you don't fall asleep, because I am going to fall asleep. And the coachman promised him that, don't worry, I know the road very well, everything will be fine. Go take your nap. Unfortunately, of course, what do you think happened? Sometime and somewhere in the middle of the road, the coachman himself also fell asleep. And what happened as a result of that? The horse, upon seeing some fresh grass on the side of the road, decided to take, how do they call it in the freeways?
Exit.
A detour. And by taking the detour towards the grassy area, the whole buggy, right, the whole coach turned over and everybody fell into the mud. Everybody got hurt. Everything got broken. The businessman woke up and started yelling at the coachman. He says, I told you, I warned you. How come you fell asleep? He says, what can I tell you? My horse is a smart horse. I didn't expect him to just go off the road. I expected him to just continue on the right path. He's a smart animal. He says, how could you say smart about an animal? An animal is an animal. There's no such thing as a smart animal. An animal will always remain an animal. And as soon as it sees some fresh grass, it's not going to think twice about it. It did what it naturally was created to do. It was to go by its temptations, to go by what it desires. The Chafetz Chaim says, human beings are also like animals in some ways, right? If we don't control ourselves, if we fall asleep, then easily that animal within us can go crazy and do all kinds of things and turn over the coach. And that's when we get into trouble. So even though here we're so inspired and we're so excited and we are committing ourselves to do the right thing because we know what the right things are, we can easily become distracted and easily fall off the derech, off the road. The neshama and the guf and the body, the soul and the body, are driven by opposing forces. And when we spoke in the past about neshama, I spoke about the various battles that the neshama faces, uphill battle with the Yetzirah, the evil inclination. That's a whole lecture in itself. But briefly, this is a continuous battle throughout a human being's life. Opposing forces. In order to be able to arrive at our final destination in peace, it is imperative that we always hold on to the reins. Otherwise, anything can happen. Holding on to the reins and obviously staying on the road is equal to self-control and discipline. Holding on to the reins of the animal within us, that is called self-control. Self-control, put in a different way, is basically the overpowering of the willpower over our animal desires. Itgabrut koach haratzon ala ta'avot. Self-control again means that our ratzon, our willpower, which comes from the neshama, can overpower or can be in control over its desires. Anyone who has complete self-control will not only control his desires, but will also be able to control his emotions, his feelings, his overall behavior. So self-control actually covers many areas. Anyone who is able to achieve true self-control, where he is a master, a true master of himself, true self-control, will have more inner peace and will be much more happier. As you will see throughout the lecture, there is a lot to gain, a tremendous amount to gain by this idea, this midah called self-control. This midah, this characteristic, this discipline is also essential for what we call self-growth. As I started off saying, we want to work on our midot, we want to refine our character, we want to be better people, better husbands, better parents. We want to grow, we want to have a better kesher, connection to the Almighty. All of that is called self-growth. We need to grow and mature. The physical body grows easily. All you got to do is shove down some milk and cereal into the baby's mouth, and before you know it, he's 6'6". You don't have to invest that much for physical growth. But for spiritual growth, oh, it will require a tremendous amount of work and investment. But in the same way the physical body grows and develops, matures, so does the neshama want to mature. But that requires a different kind of attention, one that does not involve food. It involves something else. This midah of self-control, obviously, if we have a good hold of it, if we adapt it, as I said earlier, it will help us in controlling or in refining just about any other midah, because to work on all the midot we need self-control and we need discipline. So really this in some ways can be an introduction on working on the midot. These are tools that we need all over life. For anything we want to do, that we want to do well, we need self-control and good discipline. So, briefly, anyone who is able to achieve this, I guarantee him, he will have the key to change almost anything he wishes in his life, anything that is changeable. So this is very promising, and that is why it's so important to understand what this is all about. Okay, since this is important, we need to understand, we need to know, where do we draw this koach haratzon? Where do we get this willpower? Because self-control involves willpower, right? Willpower to want to do something difficult. Where do we draw it from? After all, we do see in life that the willpower, which exists by everyone, does fluctuate. Sometimes it is strong, sometimes it is weak. Unfortunately, sometimes it is strong for the wrong things and weak for the right things. So, how sad that this willpower, which is so special and important in life to have, fluctuates. So the first thing that we need to have in mind in order to be able to draw some willpower is to understand and to know clearly what our destination is. Where do we want to go? As I've always used my example of, have you ever seen somebody get on a bus and not know where he's going? That doesn't happen. It's not true. Nobody gets on a bus, nobody gets into his car and just goes driving without knowing where he wants to go. So the number one idea here, from where we will draw some willpower, if we want to do anything, we want to know where we're going, where are we headed, what is our destination. After that, of course, one needs a plan, one needs a map. Otherwise, if he tries and he can't find where he's going, he's going to lose hope. His resolve will be weakened. He may change his mind. We want to know how to get there after we know where we're going. And number three, of course, we have to begin to execute our plan. We have to begin to do it after we know where we're going, after we have the map. All of this gives willpower. I need to go there. It's important for me to get there. I even have a map. I have the directions. All of this helps to draw the willpower that I need, the basic willpower to go there. But I have to start. I have to do something, of course, to begin my journey. We as Jews believe in something called siyata d'ishmaya. As much as we do, and as much as we want to get somewhere, we need Hashem's assistance. Without Hashem's assistance, we cannot accomplish anything. But we have a promise that Hashem will assist those who first assist themselves. If you make an effort to do the right thing, the positive thing, Hashem will be there for you. If you make an effort to do the wrong thing, He won't help you with that, but He may not stop you either. See the difference? To do the wrong things, He won't help you, but He won't stop you. To do the right thing, you will actually get help from above. That is very encouraging. Baalei Teshuvah, those people who are contemplating becoming more observant, those who want to improve their relationship, their marriage, they should take heed from this, that Hashem is there too to help them. He's a third partner in a marriage. He will hopefully help them and guide them. But you have to have the will. You have to have the interest. You have to recognize how important it is. And if you make an effort, you will receive divine assistance. So as much as we are saying to ourselves, we can do it, we know where we're going, we have to always remember we need siyata deshmaya. In everything we do, whether it's in business, whether it's in shidduchim, in any area in life, we cannot do anything on our own. The Jewish people are very sensitive to this, or should be sensitive to this, in recognizing at all times that without Hashem's involvement in our lives, we can't do anything. As the rabbis tell us, if Hashem would not help us with the Yetzer Hara, we would never win the battle. He's so strong that we would never win the battle. The reason we are able sometimes to win some battles is because Hashem helps us. But He only helps us if we are willing to help ourselves. Very important idea is that we always have to recognize that siyata deshmaya is part of the formula, divine assistance. Okay, so what happens? We have drawn some willpower because we know where we're headed. We have the map. Somehow we still get lost. Somehow the plans go in disarray. They get, they're frustrated. They don't work out for us. Why? What goes wrong in life when those people know what they want to do, they know where they want to go? What goes wrong? It is true that this willpower can become weak. There's all kinds of factors that cause the willpower to become weak. I like to use the example of the difference between driving in a car and flying in an airplane. Do you know that you're safer flying in an airplane than you are driving a car? You get into your car and you want to go from here to Beverly Hills. It's a very short drive. You know how many things, Chaz v'shalom, God forbid, can happen to one who's driving the car, whether he's the driver or the passenger, makes no difference. Even if you're a safe and good driver, what about everybody else around you? Maybe they're not safe. There are more accidents, automobile accidents, than there are accidents in the sky. Do you know when most of the accidents in the sky occur? Upon takeoff and upon landing. Not in the middle. If the pilot was able to get the plane off the ground, he's pretty much got, an easy flight. There'll be turbulence, but most of the better planes can handle it. As long as he doesn't fall asleep. And even if he falls asleep, there's something called autopilot. Right? Today they can land the planes too. If there's any issue, it's taking off and landing. The rest is smooth sailing. With a car, it's not like that. A car is much more riskier. And that is what happens with human beings too. It's not smooth sailing ever. The rabbis tell us, don't even trust yourself after 80 years. 80-year-old man, he's observant, he's a rabbi, he has a nice beard, he has great grandchildren, he's been observant all his life. Smooth sailing, you think that he cannot sin at the age of 80, he can still commit an error. There are examples of that in our history, unfortunately, of people who have made mistakes even later on, even though for all their life they've been okay. Even though Kabbalistically it is brought down in the Kabbalah that the more years a person has been pure, the less are the chances, obviously, that he will stray. Yes, but never assume it can't happen. Something can always go wrong. So something goes wrong somehow. Why? And what is it that goes wrong that our plans do not work out the way we wanted? One of the key ingredients to succeed in the journey of life, not so much in cars, in driving of cars, but in the journey of life, which is similar, but it's very, very different. One of the key ingredients that people are lacking, obviously, and that is why they don't succeed, is the willingness to work hard. Okay? Now begin to keep attention, because now begins the whole build-up of this lecture. One of the key ingredients of succeeding in life's journey is the willingness to work hard, because there are hardships. There will be obstacles along the way, and you need to be willing to work hard. If you're not willing to work hard, you almost don't have what it takes to succeed in life's journey. Yes, I know some people's life is easier than others. Other people have a rough time, many, many challenges. Still, Without this ingredient, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very tough. So the key ingredient to succeed is the willingness to work hard. This willingness to work hard is really the foundation of discipline and self-control. Because to discipline yourself and to have proper self-control at all times, whenever called for, will require that willingness to work hard. Working hard requires investment of our time. It requires investing time. You can't do it without investing time, as you will see some examples later. Actually, maybe I'll mention the example now. One of them, since it relates to our topic of tonight anyway. A lot of people are disorganized in their home. You go into their office, everything is all over the place. Now, I know some of you attended some of the astrology lectures, and we spoke about some signs that have that weakness. Okay. So what? It doesn't mean they can't overcome it. It doesn't mean they can't become more organized. But a lack of organization in one's office or in one's home, in one's bedroom, is simply also a lack of investment of one's time to do it. In other words, a person may value order and organization. It may be important to him. Then why doesn't he do it? Because he doesn't invest the time to do it. So we're not even talking about somebody that doesn't value or appreciate it. That's a separate problem. There could be laziness. There could be other issues, right? It could be that the man does not know how important something is, and that's why he doesn't do it. Or he's lazy. There could be other factors too. I'm talking about a regular individual who's not lazy, who knows this is important to him. He's not in the mood of postponing or delaying things indefinitely. There are people who do that too. A normal guy, why would he have a messy room? Why would he have a messy office? Because he didn't take the time to do it. So, hard work so far. Number two, hard work requires investment of time. You have the willingness, great, but now you have to invest the time. Since we're speaking about cleanliness and organization, the reason I include these, even though Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, in talking about midot, character, he separates the two. He talks about the importance of being clean, of being orderly, organized. He separates these two as two separate midot. I'm combining the two. The reason I'm combining the two is because they pretty much go together. When a person has a clean mind, he will also have an organized mind. When you are makpid, when you are strict and careful to be clean physically, that will help you to be clean spiritually. If you train yourself to be organized in your daily routine, in your life, in your doings of whatever it is, your business or your home, that organization, those skills will help you become organized in mitzvot, in doing whatever you need to do in a timely fashion. So the midot of cleanliness and organization on the physical realm, as it applies to our physical body and our physical lives, can be great tools to assist us to be clean and organized in a spiritual way. These midot, therefore, seder and nekiyut, cleanliness and organization, are also important tools that can help us in all our life. So what did we start off saying? We start off talking about drawing willpower from recognizing where we're going, realizing how important it is to get there. We want to get there safely. We have a plan, right? But sometimes, even though we have everything going for us, somehow things get interfered with. Things distract us. A lot of things that I've spoken about before can make us lose our focus. But if we have the willingness to work hard, and we are organized, we're clean, right? These are tools, these are midot that will make sure that hopefully, even if we felt we got off the derech, of the road, we'll come back to the right path. We will not stay off the road for too long. Organization of one's desk, of one's room, will help him organize his thoughts. A person whose thoughts are not organized will not really be focused as well. He will lack clarity. It's like not having your glasses if you need glasses to see. Yes, I know some people are disorganized, but they know where every paper of theirs is. You ask them, where is this and where is that? They know where, even though the whole room is a mess. It's a balagan. Okay, that's very nice that they know, but it doesn't look right. And the problem is not that it doesn't look right. The problem is worse than that. It's that this kind of management of your life in a disorganized fashion will hurt you. In ways you don't even know it. So therefore it helps to be organized. It helps to be clean. The physical body maintaining, it's not only healthy, it's not only that you should smell good, right? It's not only that you should look good, it helps in a spiritual way too. The more a person understands, the more a Jew especially understands how much responsibility he has, and this can only come to him from the Torah, right? The more he understands how much responsibility he has, it will make it easier for him to be a serious individual. We spoke about mockers, letzanut, those who scoff, who make fun of things, who take life not seriously, make fun and cool other people off. The opposite of that is somebody who is serious, who is cautious, who does care about everything, because he knows everything can make a difference. The Kabbalah teaches that every act, every deed, every word that we say, that we utter down here makes a big difference. We believe in blessings. We believe, unfortunately, also in curses. Words have power. Words, what is a word, right? Our actions have also tremendous power. Even our thoughts have tremendous power. So the more one becomes knowledgeable about this, the more one realizes that life means tremendous responsibility, because everything we do or say can make a difference. The more we are aware, the more awareness we have of this responsibility, the more we will become serious. Serious, as we're going along and building up this topic, seriousness is another concept. A lot of people out there are not serious. They're serious about making money, perhaps. Money to them is a god, right? So they're definitely serious. They feel terrible when they lost money, or when they sold the stock too early. Or how come I didn't buy the house? Or how come I sold that house before? Had I waited another year, I would have made more money on it. All kinds of ideas that perturb their mind, and these things are nonsense. This is not what we're here for. This is not where we're headed. You don't take it with you. So how could it be that important? See how people's values and priorities are all messed up. Their life is disorganized. Their thoughts are disorganized. If they would be a little bit more serious, after knowing the great responsibilities that they have and after recognizing at all times where they're headed, it wouldn't happen to them. They wouldn't waste their time. They wouldn't get angry about these things and upset about all these trivialities. Who cares that so you overpaid a few dollars. Everything is mishamayim anyway. You think you have control over life. You only have control over your midot, over your yirat shamayim, your fear of heaven. That you have some control. But what happens around you? There's something called mazal. There's something called ashgacha prati, divine providence. It's out of your control. And by the way, even if it was in your control, who cares? This is not the ikar. For some people it is the ikar. Because they're not serious about the real things. They may be serious, but about the wrong things. So seriousness is something that can only develop in an individual after he recognizes the tremendous responsibilities that he has, how every word, how every deed can make a difference, how he better do things right if he wants to get to his final destination. He better be willing to work hard in order to achieve that. So you start getting an individual who, after all this awareness that he has, that he doesn't lose it, he remains serious. Serious people. Great rabbis and tzaddikim were always serious. You even noticed it on their face. They had to work hard to be happy. Because of how serious they were about life and how careful and cautious, their challenge was to be happy, to always smile. Now that's some challenge. The Gaon of Vilna, tremendous serious man, knowledgeable, sage, great man. He was very serious, and because of that he needed another rabbi to come to him to say a joke or two. A good joke, of course. Something humorous. Something to uplift his spirits. The family of this great rabbi used to ask him, write in a letter, please, our dad needs you. Come and lift up his spirits. Because, the Judaism very much is against depression, sadness. But people who are serious, it can easily go to that. So you have to be careful to be happy, to always rejoice. And how could a person who's in pain or who has no parnasah be happy? That's even more difficult. The more so if he's serious, you can begin to understand how happiness is not something easy to acquire. But B'ezrat Hashem, eventually we'll talk about that too. So once a person develops a serious attitude will enable him, will facilitate the way for him to be makpid, for him to be strict with certain things. Serious? If he's serious, it allows him to take the next step, to be strict about certain things. If I'm serious, I'm going to be strict about it. And of course, strictness does not mean strictness about everything in life. You don't want to be too strict with your kids, too strict with your spouse. Strictness means on the important, valuable things to us. What are they? The guf and the neshama. Now don't misunderstand me. When I say strictness about the physical body, I don't mean that you should spoil yourself and pamper yourself. Strictness about your physical body means as follows. The Kabbalah says the physical body, as much as it has desires, it's animalistic, it's the vessel of your neshama. Hey, keep it healthy. Don't abuse it. Don't smoke. Don't overdrink. Don't do anything to this beautiful physical body that is a vessel to your neshama. You have a job, you have a mission to accomplish. You better do it in a vessel that is healthy. Because people who don't take care of their body, they leave this world before their time. What a shame to go at 32 instead of 82. Because of a heart attack or whatever it is. And some of it is self-inflicted. I'm not talking about the one that the angel of death comes and takes him because his time is up for whatever reason. I'm talking about self-inflicted death for not being careful with your physical body. So once a person is serious, he will become strict. Hopefully he will be strict about the right things. And two of those right things are the physical body and the neshama. To be strict, to treat it properly, to take care of it properly. This strictness, if a person becomes strict in his life, now it will help him be more organized and clean. Remember, we started off talking about an individual who may not be as clean and organized because he's messy by nature. But if he starts working himself up to be responsible, he has the willpower, he has clarity, he's willing to work hard, he becomes serious, he becomes strict with himself and demanding. Strict and demanding is almost the same thing. Guess what? To be organized will come. You say, well, of course. I mean, he may not realize it on his own right away, but after he reads a Sefer Musar, or he's told, hey, this is not good, it will be easier for him to do it. He's already in step 5. He's already strict. He's already demanding of it of himself. It's already easy for him. He already has not only the willpower, he has some discipline. This discipline is really a combination, comprises of various ideas of responsibility, of seriousness, of strictness. So once you take that strictness and you apply it to the room, I mean, it's not going to be such a big deal for him. He's not just going to push it off. He's already a strict person. He's already a serious man. He's taught himself that. He's disciplined himself that. So the strictness will help with nikayon and seder, with orderly organization and cleanliness. But now I have some news to tell you. Do you know what the greatest acquisition perhaps will be as a result of being strict, as a result of being serious and responsible? One of the most valuable acquisitions in life that one will gain from this exercise is time management. Time management is such a beautiful thing. If anybody can get this one right, I envy him. I will envy him, because time management is very, very difficult. You know what time management will do for you? If you're able to manage your time just right, not to spend too much time on the wrong things, to spend more time on the right things, to not waste time. You know what that will do to you? It will not only make you more efficient, it will make you more productive. And if you become a more productive individual in life, productive not in your work, in money, productive in your service of Hashem, you'll be performing more mitzvot, you'll be doing them in their time, you'll be doing them right. You won't waste time or kill time, as they say. You'll use every moment that you have. Time is such a precious commodity, and it's so wasted in this country, and other countries too. You see how all this responsibility and seriousness and strictness and the willingness to work hard, in the end, accomplishes so much for the person, especially time management. Time, this is a levai, that we should come close to managing most of our time properly. But this is one of the greatest accomplishments that one can accomplish if he becomes a serious individual. The sad thing is, it's sad and it's funny. Somebody gets himself a new computer. Why you get yourself a new computer? Your old computer works. Well, this one is faster. It has more memory. It has a better bus, if you understand that jargon of computers. It can handle a lot more, bigger chip. Plus, it has a great big fan and it cools off better. And the software is so great. It has all this antiviruses. And I'm telling you, it cleans the disk. It does everything for you. It's an efficient computer. Why not get a more efficient computer? I agree. Why are you getting a new car? Well, this car can get 45 miles per gallon. It's more efficient than fuel. I'm not against that either. I think it's a great idea. The less we have to depend on oil, the better. Not just the money. But why do you do it on your computer and on your car, not on yourself? You understand the point? Look at what people are doing. They value these ideas. They agree it's important. But for the computer and for the car, not for yourself. This is incredible. It's funny and it's sad at the same time. Okay, so now that I gave you this big introduction about the importance of self-control and discipline, which involves organizing ourselves, which involves developing the right attitude, responsibility, seriousness, being strict, and the willingness to work hard, I'm going to ask you all a couple questions, and you will have a better idea of where you are personally yourself. So in order to be able to understand where we are, we have to look at some examples of life and see where we are. So I put together a few examples that I saw others, professionals, bring down. Some examples. Look at your own bedroom, look at your own office. How organized is that? Well, that's one place we can always start. Organization. Is it very, very messy, or is it so-so? That's one place to start. If it's not very organized, you should know that you're missing out on a lot, because that is indicative of something already. You're missing a very important tool that can help you in other areas of life. Here's another one. How many letters are sitting on your desk now that you haven't opened up for a while? I'm not talking about today's mail. Or for those of you who use email, how many emails are in your inbox that you haven't read yet? You know that there are people out there that have tons of emails that they haven't read yet, unread. Either get rid of them, do something, or read them. I gave you this example because if anybody does have this, it shows something. It tells you something about the individual. He does not have the willpower. He's just not serious enough about this. He's not getting to something which may be important. If it's not, then why have email, right? I mean, if it's important to you, then get to it. You're not getting to it. Doesn't that tell you something about yourself? So think about this, if this is a problem or not, if this is an issue in your life. How about being overweight? Have you recently become overweight? Right? This one is the most embarrassing, perhaps, to some people. That means you've just allowed yourself to become bigger. We talked about the physical body, taking care of your physical body. Yeah. become lax and lax and lax until from overweight it becomes obese. You know, there's a difference between overweight and obese. And a lot of Americans today are obese. Well, it says, unfortunately, that towards the end of times, Mashiach's times, Vayishman Yeshurun Vayiv'at, people will become fat from all the luxuries and all the good food, the junk food. Right? Not too good, not too healthy. Ask yourself, has this gotten out of control? Do you get up every morning at the same time? How about the weekends, when you don't have to go to work? Do you get up at the same time? What's the question here? The question is, do you have that discipline in your life in this one area? Because if you don't, that shows that there's a lack of discipline. In one area, at least. It's one example. Have you figured out how much time you waste every day? Have you noticed that? Some people do not even notice it. They just waste the time all of the time. They do all kinds of things. Waste of time. Have you ever promised something to someone or to yourself and not kept your word, not kept your promise? Does that happen regularly to you? That you say you're going to do something and you don't end up doing it? Well, if that does happen regularly, it's a problem. A problem in discipline and lack of self-control and willpower and everything else that we said. A word should be a word, a promise a promise. So if a person has difficulties in the area of delivering, of fulfilling his promises, he's very weak. Problems of willpower, problems of discipline, problems of self-control, whatever. I mean, depending on what it is. Let's say you're a good person as far as organizing and planning out your day, your week, your months. How many things on your to-do list are older than 3 months? You know, people have to-do lists. It's very, very nice. By the way, it's a good idea. Have a to-do list. I got to do this, got to do this. And in this way, you don't forget and you start doing things. It's very helpful. We spoke about it in the past. But how many of those to-do things you haven't done for over 3 months? 3 months is a long time. Why not? Why not? Right? Maybe there's a lack of willpower, right? Maybe you're not serious enough, right? There's a problem here. So start thinking about it. Wait a minute, you know what? There's a lot of things that I haven't done that are on my to-do list, and I better get around to doing it. Why am I not doing it? That's, of course, something that one should eventually ask himself. I've given you some examples, but ultimately, if there is an area, if there is a weakness, you have to face it. So I'm giving you a few examples that can be found by lots of people. It's all a lack of self-control or good discipline. Have you ever set any goals? I'm not even talking about if you set out to attain those goals, but have you ever set goals? Setting a goal is a very good thing. It's a healthy thing. Do you ever do that? Do you ever set a goal? I got to do this by then. I got to accomplish this. Write it down. And of course, make plans to go about it. Have you ever done that? If you don't do that, maybe you're just not that interested in accomplishing, in growing, in working on yourself. Because part of that requires setting goals. How are you dressed? You know, people sometimes don't care about themselves. They don't take care of themselves. They don't dress right. They don't care how they look, how people look at them. They don't care. It's also not too good. You have to be a little bit concerned about how you look. You need to look presentable. You need to look normal. So if a person does not care, that kind of an attitude, negative attitude, says a lot about the individual. It could be depression too, that he just ignores himself. He doesn't take care of himself. It could be that too, but it's deeper than that sometimes. It could be, it shows about other things in his life. He's just a person that does not care. He's not responsible. He's not willing to do what it takes to become more organized. When was the last time you said to yourself, I'm going to stop doing something that was no good? When was the last time you said it? You know, we sometimes have bad habits. But when was the last time that you said you're not going to do it anymore? If it was a year ago, that's not good. You know, it should be more constant. I'm going to, B'ezrat Hashem, try my best. I mean, we don't always win every battle. We don't always accomplish what we set out to accomplish. But if it's been a while since the last time I said something like that, then not too good either. We have to clean up our home, our house, as they say. You know, check to see what's wrong, what needs fixing. And that's not only our physical homes, it's our physical body, our neshama too. Or the other way around is too. When was the last time you took upon yourself, committed yourself to do something good? If it's been a long time and you're not doing it too often, maybe there's a weak willpower here, not strong enough. You don't have that discipline that you really should have that would help you take upon yourself, make more commitments. Or one more idea that could perhaps be very common. Not everybody knows what they're going to be doing next week. No, or even tomorrow. Ask yourself, do you know what you're going to be doing tomorrow? Do you know what you're going to be doing next week? Because if you do know exactly what you're going to be doing, it says a lot. It says that means that you're focused, you're maybe a little bit even organized, you have the motivation, you have the willpower, you're serious about it. You know, because that's why you think about it. That says something. If you don't know what you're going to be doing, that means you're just in, what do they call it, la la land? Yeah. You know, you should know a little bit. It helps. It helps a lot to focus on what we're going to be doing next, if it's important to us, if we're serious. Okay, so how do we go about strengthening ourselves? How do we go about making a change in ourselves? We do want to always be strong. We always want to be on the right track. We do want to be responsible. We agree with all of this. And I always leave that towards the end of the lecture. What's the best way to go about these things? Well, first of all, we sometimes are required to face reality. If there is a weakness out there, we have to confront it. If we have identified, after looking at ourselves, if we identify a weakness, then we have to go about it. How did I start out? One of the most important ingredients is the willingness to work hard. If you don't have that, it's always going to be an uphill battle. Always going to be difficult. But if you are willing to work, even though it's difficult, you're willing to apply yourself, even if something is tough, then that's great. Then you might make it, you may succeed. So you need to identify the weakness and face it. Once we see the weakness, we have to learn how to go about it. We can't figure it out on our own. Okay, a person has a problem, he's lazy. We spoke about it. We spoke about laziness. Now what? What do you do? So we've given some tips. When a person has identified a weakness in himself, whatever it is, or lack of organization, he's not responsible, he just doesn't have self-control in some areas, some appetite, some tava. Okay, you recognize the weakness? Great, Baruch Hashem, so far so good. Now learn about it. Learn how to manage it, how to deal with it. You know what the learning will do? Learning is not just knowledge. When a person learns about a problem, it gives him, it's supposed to give him the incentive, the encouragement. It's supposed to motivate him to make a change. Oh, this is terrible. This is bad. You know, this is where I am. I better do something about it. So the learning is not just the gaining of the knowledge, not only to know what to do, it has built in a certain degree of motivation. It should help us, motivate us to begin to do something about it. But don't forget, as much as you may know the problem, as much as you may know yourself, as much as you learn about it, you can learn the whole Zohar, Gemarot, Midrashim about anything. If there's no willingness to work hard, nothing will work. Working hard is extremely important to be able to discipline yourself and to be able to overcome any problems or challenges that we may have in life. Where do we know this from? That it requires hard work. Where do we know that hard work is an important prerequisite to success, and especially in the spiritual world? In the physical world, actually, you may not have to work hard. There's a lot of people who don't know how to read English and are making millions of dollars, and they came from Iran. Yeah, they don't know English. They don't know anything. Somehow they have great mazal. They don't have to work hard. They just put their money in the right things. Somehow it works. Then you have these guys who speak English fluently, they have a PhD in more than one area, and they can't make ends meet. They're out of a job. I'm sure you know people like that. Why? Because it's all mazal. When it comes to the physical world, it's mazal. If you don't have it, you can try and work day and night, 3 shifts, and you barely make it. If you have mazal, you can sit at home and do nothing. Yeah, that's what mazal is all about. We spoke about that, so I'm not going to repeat it now. But when it comes to spiritual work and spiritual progress and spiritual accomplishment, it requires hard work. So where do we learn this from? The Torah. The Torah tells us, "In bechukotai telechu." If you're following my statutes, everything will be good for you. You'll have rain on time, you'll have peace, you'll have prosperity. On the surface, that's what those words mean. The commentary is explaining, "Bechukotai telechu," the requirement that Hashem is making of us to go in our statutes. It should say, "In bechukotai tilmedu, tekaimu," you should learn, you should do. What does it say? To walk in my statutes. "Shetiyu amelim b'Torah." It is important that you work hard to learn and to acquire the Torah. Without working hard, without applying yourself, without the proper investment, it won't work. That's bechukotai telechu. You have to be willing to work hard. Because of that, the Gaon of Vilna, who I mentioned before, was asked Mishamayim. He was such a righteous man that they asked him from heaven, I guess through some sort of dream, "We are willing to send you a malach, a magid, an angel to teach you things that you would never be able to learn on your own." Like the Bet Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, he had a malach teach him. They're having great sages who were taught by malachim in their sleep or some other way, things that on their own they would never know, or it would be very hard to know, unless they were taught by Eliyahu Navi, which is also a malach, who was also an angel. You know what the Gaon of Vilna said? "No, thank you. I don't want a malach. I want to work hard on my own. I don't want it to be easy." Why not? Make it easy. The only way you can acquire something and make it a lasting impression on you and make it a part of you is if you work hard on it. And that is why when it comes to learning, you have to be prepared to work hard, because the harder you work on learning and adapting the Torah into your life, the better are the chances that it will stick with you. However, when it comes to hard work, I have some news to tell you, very important detail. Even though hard work is a prerequisite and very important, there's 2 kinds of hard work. One is mi'irah and one is mi'ahava. The Kabbalah teaches us that the love of Hashem is supreme over the fear of Hashem. We have to fear Him, have awe for Him, and we have to love Him. Love is a higher level. Why? Because the fear, if you fear Him only, even though you may get along and you may accomplish and you may be observant, but there is always the possibility that at some point you're going to say, "I'm tired of this. It's too burdensome on me. It's too difficult on me." If you do it out of love, you never tire. Even though the rabbis tell us it's okay to begin to do shelo lishma, not for the sake of heaven, just get started. So eventually you'll catch up and do it me'ahava. But remember, get to ahava as soon as possible. Train yourself to do the mitzvot, whether it's to pray, whether it's to get up in the morning early, and make a beracha, put on tefillin. Whatever you are doing, get your mind into thinking that this is something so special that I wanted and I'm excited to do it. Otherwise, Chas v'shalom, there's always that possibility that a person may tire and lose interest, lose excitement, and then he's not interested. Look at a professional man, a professional carpenter, a professional jeweler, a professional lawyer even. If he's doing his job, whatever it is, because he's motivated for the money, do you know that he's not going to be as careful to do a good job? He'll even look for shortcuts. And he won't care if it doesn't come out right, because what's motivating him is not that he should have satisfaction and pride or help you. What's motivating him is the money. Then the job is never going to come out right. You know what they say in the real estate world? Pride of ownership. This home was not rented. It was owned by the owner, who lived there, and he took care of it. So it's pride of ownership. Sometimes it's just a lie. It's just a gimmick. But sometimes it's true. If the owner lives there and he cares about his home, he took care of it, he repaired it, he maintained it. So in doing the mitzvot, in working hard, it's important that you have a positive attitude. Why am I doing this for? And the more positive the attitude is, the more happy you are to do it, the better are the chances that you will continue to do it. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't realize that this is what it takes to succeed in life. The hard work, the right attitude, being focused on where I want to go. And it's okay if they don't have that attitude when it comes to certain areas of their life. Listen, you don't want to have friends? All right, don't invest in them. Don't work hard. You won't have friends. Big deal. It's great to have good friends. It's important to be close to someone. You don't want to work hard on that? Fine. You want to be what is it called, a recluse? Somebody who just lives by himself in a cave? Fine. It's not a good idea. But when it comes to the important areas of life, you have no choice. All the important areas of life require hard work. And I'm going to name a few of them. Raising children, is that an important area of life? Raising kids, it requires hard work to do a good job. And it's not only about changing diapers. It's not only about getting up in the middle of the night. It requires a tremendous amount of patience and homework and relationships and dealing with all their issues, small problems, big problems, teenage problems, marriage, and even after their marriage, it's a tremendous responsibility. It requires hard work. You want to do a good job in raising children? Be prepared for hard work. Good marriage. You want to have a good marriage? Guess what? It requires hard work. Yes, I know some people, I like to say, have a relationship like the weather in Seattle. You know what that means. There's rain all the time. You don't have to water the grass. Yeah, there's some people that are so close naturally to each other, the glue is there, they barely have to do anything. Each one looks at the other with a glimpse, with an eye, with a wink of an eye. They already understand each other perfectly. They know what the other one wants without talking. They love sitting next to each other even though there's no communication between them. It's fine as long as you're next to me. They go shopping together. Everything is beautiful. That's not the majority, and it's definitely not your average either. The average requires work. You have a man and a woman. One speaks Swahili and the other speaks Chinese. Yeah, that's what it is. A man speaks Chinese and a woman speaks Swahili, or the other way around. They speak completely different languages. It requires work just for that. And if one is from Bukhara and the other one is a Yemenite, or one is Moroccan and the other one is European, then you have a different background, a different culture, right? It requires hard work. You have no choice. If you want to succeed, and this is an important area of life, I think all of you agree, it requires hard work. Organization requires hard work. Yeah, you want to always maintain an organized room, organized desk. It requires work. Hatmada, to be constant and regular in your learning, requires hard work. You see, for you and for us, for most of us, to come once a week to a lecture is beautiful, but it requires dedication. It's late. It requires effort. What if this were to be every single day? Well, if somebody did it every single day, it would be admirable too. It requires hard work. It requires a commitment. To be happy is hard work too. Just to be happy is not easy. Anyway, all of the good things in life requires hard work. However, if one is willing to work hard, he will succeed. His chances are much better to succeed. Not only will he succeed, professionals tell us that professionals who deal with these kind of issues say that anybody that will at some point in his life acquire good self-control and discipline, his decision-making will be better. His decisions will be easier. Decision-making will come to him easier. He will be able to deal better with pressures in life. He will have less stress. And he will accomplish a lot more. So look at the byproducts, the results of good discipline and self-control. Better management of time, less stress, better and easier decision-making, more accomplishments. I mean, there's so many things that come out of this midah that it's incredible why people do not do more to acquire it. Here are some tips that perhaps can help us along the way, but don't forget the introduction. The introduction was a very important build-up on how to get an individual to want to go this route and to stay on the right track. But here are some tips to get it going, especially if a person has certain weakness in certain areas. Some basic tips that all the professionals agree on. Take upon yourself something that is difficult for you to do. That's how you start with self-discipline, with self-control. Take upon yourself something that's difficult. Whether it's difficult to you because you're embarrassed to do it, because you're lazy, or because you like to postpone, makes no difference, but it's difficult. What would be a good example? Let's say you always love having coffee with sugar. Well, have your coffee for the next 4 weeks without sugar. It's difficult. That's just a small example, but it helps. It really helps. You're starting to do something that is difficult. Obviously, there are more difficult areas in life that we should begin with, but this is an example of something that you can easily do. And after a while, you'll say, wait a minute, I can always do without the sugar anyway. Who needs the sugar? After a while, by the way, this may happen to you. Good. Who needs the sugar? The calories. Do something which is a little hard for you. Hold yourself back from eating your favorite food or from nashing. You're in the mood of taking a nash of a bite or something. You say, well, you know what? I'm going to put it down and not take it and refuse it just because I'm teaching myself some self-control. It's going to require this kind of things. These are some exercises. You're going to have to do it. This is an example. Fast one day. Yeah, fast. Let's see, can you fast a day? It's not any of the 6 fasts that the Jewish people fast. Choose your day. Mondays and Thursdays preferable. Take a day, you're going to fast. You'll lose some weight, so it's going to be a good idea. But you know what you've done to yourself? You've just convinced yourself, trained yourself, self-control, discipline. Hold yourself back from reading the gossip section of the LA Times. That you should do it all the time. Stop, don't read it, don't ever read it. It's all gossip, lashon hara. Hold yourself back one day from reading what you ordinarily read. Business, news, internet, paper. Today I'm not going to read it. And you always do. And you hold yourself back. That helps. Or hold yourself back from saying you're just eager to say something to your spouse, to your friend, to your boss. You just want to say something. Try to not say it for the whole day. It's going to be tough. Don't think it's so easy. It's very difficult. Hold yourself back. You'll see how much you will gain by that. You're tired. Don't go to rest. Even though usually you go to rest, you take a nap, that day you're not going to go to rest. You're going to do something. Go do some gardening, wash the dishes. Do something instead of going to rest. What have you done to yourself? Again, you have disciplined yourself. You have showed that you have self-control. You have applied tremendous willpower to something that was difficult for you to do. And another good idea is gradual exercise. Exercise is healthy. Exercise is good for the physical body. It cleans up your mind. It releases some of the pressure and tension that you have. People just are lazy, don't do it. Get into the habit of doing a little bit, and this also, the regularity of it, will be very beneficial. Just like to end with something that we see in real life that we can apply to us, and that is exercise. But not just any exercise, weightlifting. What's interesting about weightlifting is, what does weightlifting do? What does weightlifting do to the body, to the muscles? Anybody know?
Makes it grow.
Stretches, grows, but what happens more than stretching and growth?
What is on the muscles? They have to be rebuilt.
Don't they become stronger?
They grow stronger.
The body becomes stronger, stiffer. Weightlifting strengthens the body, strengthens the muscle. But how does that strengthening happen? How does it happen? Through the resistance of the barbells. Right? Have you ever used those things for the hand?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, huh? Yeah. Through the resistance that is there from the equipment, the resistance, the muscles become strengthened. So in order for the muscles to become strengthened, there has to be resistance. In the same way that the physical body, the muscles are strengthened through the resistance of that equipment there, the same is true with the neshama. The neshama, Bezat Hashem, can become stronger and stronger and stronger through the resistance and through the overpowering of the animal desires in us. And that is, of course, the whole battle of the Yetzer Hara that we have. This is a battle that we can never go to sleep on. This is a battle that's constant, that is always there from the morning we wake up until the day we leave this world. Always remember that the Yetzer Hara is out there to ambush. That's his job. No matter how strong you are, people can still fall. Be on the lookout, have complete awareness of where you're headed, don't lose track of where you need to go, and do whatever you can to strengthen your spiritual part, your neshama. Because the stronger your neshama is, the more you will have the willpower and the interest, right? And the motivation to do battle with the Yetzer Hara. A lot of people don't even have that, the motivation. They don't, I'm just too lazy. I'm just too weak. I just can't do it. I'm just too tempted. Wow, what a shame. Don't you know that this Yetzer Hara, as powerful as he is, you can beat him too? You can defeat him. It requires hard work. But if you apply that hard work, you will have Hashem's help to help you. Hashem will help you. Just make the decision, make a commitment, and begin the process to strengthen yourself. And Bezat Hashem, by beginning the process, you will gain good discipline, you will have the willpower, you will gain self-control, and once you gain self-control, Bezat Hashem, you will be a master and not a slave. Don't be a slave of the Yetzer Hara, be a master. And that is part of the journey of life, is to control ourselves. If we want to get safely to our destination, we have to learn to control ourselves. Thank you.
Very nice.
Okay, Chag Kasher v'Sameach, Bezat Hashem. We'll see you 3 weeks from now. So the next 2 weeks is a holiday.